Diversity in the workplace has been proven to foster innovation and promote talent acquisition, leading to a more qualified workforce and ultimately drives economic growth. Yet, most organizations today, including Fortune 500 companies, still fall short in having women and minorities in positions of leadership. Here in Boston, it seems that it is still a very big issue, which companies still don't quite know how to grapple with. Our next guest promised to enlighten us on this very interesting subject. Born and raised in Mumbai, India, Aditi Taylor can speak firsthand to the challenges of being a woman and a minority in today's workforce. She works with her firm's initiative for the retention and advancement of women, and she leads Deloitte & Touche's New England Diversity and Inclusion Program. And Lisa Cukier is a partner at Burns & Levinson and a skilled litigator who has the extensive experience in the area of shaping diversity within a corporation, representing individuals from all walks of life. She's recognized for her expertise and her skill. Lisa is a prominent contributor to Boston Spirit magazine and is a frequent guest speaker. Welcome to Urban Update, ladies. Thanks for coming in. And the first one I just kind of like to throw out to both of you, is why do you think Massachusetts, in Massachusetts, there's still such a lack of diversity in the workforce, especially in positions of power? Aditi, you want to start?
Sure, thanks, Byron. I'd say that the demographic in Massachusetts has changed a lot in the last few years and actually continues to evolve pretty rapidly. So a lot of work has been done over the last several years, but there's always room for progress. At the end of the day, I think it's really trying to understand and determining the value of diversity and tying that back to business and understanding that there's a real business case today and a real imperative for diversity to be front and center. So Lisa, I don't know if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Sure. So, Massachusetts is such an interesting place because it has such parochial roots, and people have been acculturated for years to live in a certain more conservative lifestyle. We've got certain laws that prevent stores from opening at certain hours and that require that different establishments close by certain hours. We have very bright line tests. So, for example, marriage. In order to have any of the marital benefits for same-sex couples that other couples who are married enjoy, there needs to be marriage. And there are certain bright lines that flow from that and benefits that flow from that sort of thing that you find in Massachusetts. So while Massachusetts calls itself a very liberal state, we actually come from a foundation that's rather conservative, and I think that our laws play that out. Our laws have a incrementalness to them so that we're not quite as liberal as perhaps the public opinion thinks.
Well, let's talk about that for a little bit more here. How is it that we're considered such a progressive state when, in fact, many red states that are considered conservative, they've got a more diversified workforce and of people in more important positions? Is this sort of a hypocrisy or irony, or what do you think? What's your sense of that?
I don't think it's hypocrisy. I think it's human nature. I think what we're looking at is a situation where power and privilege is passed down. People want to hand off power and privilege to people who look like them, who sound like them, and who feel like them. And so while we're very liberal, the deals that are made on a golf course and the deals that are made in a boardroom might not really reflect the general population at large. And when people come into power, they're usually inheriting it, if you will, from somebody who has it and who also looks like them and sounds like them. And there's a certain acculturation that we have that causes us to keep lines of wealth and lines of power within a certain track. So you find that in a state like Massachusetts, and I think part of it is human nature, and I think it takes people who have the insight and foresight to make the changes in order to break that existing human nature and ease it up.
Aditi, what thoughts do you have on what needs to happen for leadership to view diversity and inclusion as a priority?
I think first and foremost we need to define what is diversity and what is inclusion, right? They're not interchangeable necessarily. I think diversity kind kind of started with the need to address, I guess, the specific focus on certain segments that were perhaps different from mainstream, and that's true, and that is still a need. But I think it eventually needs to evolve to inclusion, right, where we recognize that everyone is different, and that those differences need to be recognized, they need to be valued, respected, and even celebrated. So, for example, in our firm, we look at it more as a culture of commitment and contributed accountability, where everybody can come to work, where they can feel free, where they believe that they can belong here, and at the same time have the ability to succeed, integrating whatever it is between work and life that they believe they need to bring to work, kind of bringing their authentic selves to work and not have to be somebody else just to fit in.
One thing I'd like to ask you both, I guess, what can employees do to help diversify the workplace and level the playing field, employers rather? You take that one. Want to start on that?
Sure. So I think it's very important for employees to ask their firms and corporations to commit to philanthropy, to commit to marketing initiatives and recruitment initiatives, advertising initiatives, and sponsorships that will bring their corporation and their firm into the public eye. It will bring in diversity. It will help create affinity within the corporation. And then there are ignored groups in any corporation. I think, currently we're just post Pride Week this week, so
that's right. And you have a lot of expertise in dealing with
right.
the LGBT issues in the workplace. As a lesbian yourself.
Right, and at this time, I think it's most important that people understand that while we talk about these 4 initials, LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, we tend in our policies not to be even-handed. We tend to ignore one group, and that is the transgendered population in Massachusetts and everywhere. For example, that right now there has been a rise to 28% of health care benefits for individuals who are transgendered, and most firms do not have transgendered inclusive health plans. So although there's been what is deemed to be a watershed rise for the transgendered communities in healthcare benefits, in fact, 28% is awful. It's incredibly low. That means that there are very few healthcare benefits for medically necessary procedures. There are not restrooms that are accommodating for people who are transgendered. There is a 97% harassment rate for individuals who are transgendered in the workforce. And the number of people who are turned down and not hired or who are fired is also equally outrageous. So while we're celebrating lesbian and gay pride, I think it's important for us also to remember that there is one initial on there that is the always overlooked.
Okay, and now, Aditi, I guess, what would you say to a CEO or leader of a major organization that really needs diversity? What is the first step they have to take? Because that's usually the hardest one.
It is, and I think the first thing that they have to understand that it requires one strong commitment at the top and has to cascade down from there. It requires investment and it requires focus. They can start, with baby steps like we did many years ago, really trying to build that awareness and communication across the board. Because oftentimes people just don't understand what it is, and it's not us versus them. It's really the success of all of us collectively put together. So just building that level playing ground and kind of that awareness is critically important if they really wanted to start building their program from the grounds up.
Lisa, what do you think about that? The first step that a CEO should take when they're really trying to diversify their company?
I think it begins with accountability among senior management. Senior management needs to develop measurable goals. They need to look for shareholder undue influence in corporations and make sure to weed that out. Make sure to bring diversity onto boards. There is a frighteningly low number of women, people of color on boards, lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual people on boards. It's frightening. And so in senior management, having accountability and bringing people to the boardroom is critical.
Now, one thing that's been in the news this week, sort of related, is we've been talking about corporate diversity in the corporate boardrooms over at Boston City Hall. The Boston Globe is challenging Mayor Marty Walsh's diversity hiring record, saying that he promised diversity and that it's not diverse enough. And any thoughts about that? I don't know if you've been following that at all. Or?
I read the article. You know, it's just 5 months in, so I'm very cautiously optimistic. But I will say that the mayor says that he has brought in so many people and brought in so much diversity, but the people who he is referring to are people who are part-time employees, interns, summer employees, people who are paid on average less than $13,000 per year.
Does the public sector have an even more responsibility to diversify, even the corporate sector, just as to be an example, do you think?
I mean, there's always, I guess, an opportunity to lead by example per se, but I think the responsibility is kind of shared across all the sectors. At the end of the day, you know, diverse individuals bring diverse perspectives to the table, and we just really need to recognize what the business case for that is.
And maybe one question for both of you to sort of wrap things up here. Talk to me about the value of diversity, because we talk about this, but for someone who's in business, a CEO, a business owner, who's interested in making money, talk to me about the value of diversity in itself, someone who may not quite understand that.
And I'd say that if you really look to where our workforce is trending, it is becoming increasingly diverse. And again, I'm using the word diverse very broadly here. It's not just race, ethnicity, or background. It could be beyond that. It could be, you know, people from the armed forces. It could be those with physical limitations. It could be different work style preferences and what have you. So the most important thing is really what diverse perspectives that they bring to the workplace and how that really leads to the success.
Very quickly, in a couple of words, I guess the value of diversity in business is what? It
sustains economic growth. It supports the population at large.
Okay, and we'll leave it right there. Lisa Cukier and Aditi Taylor, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.